guys, I have Mubarak here with me today, and Mubarak has been a friend, if I can call him a friend. I don't know if because at least we've been distant for a while, but I've
Hmm.
known Mubarak for over a decade. Over a decade, I think it should be close to like 14 years thereabout.
Yes, it's 2008.
Eight, yeah, yeah, because we came into our school then from Malaya, is it School of
Yes,
Science? Yeah,
School of
and
Science Ibadan.
and then with that your uniform, and then you were terrorizing us because I think your uniform was a bit different from our uniform there.
No, so I didn't come with my uniform. I
Wait,
was wearing
you had
mufti.
shorts? Yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is the uniform from your school.
No, I wore the uniform for about 2 days. Then I
Oh,
started wearing mufti. And I got into trouble for wearing mufti to school. So one day they eventually forced me to wear the new school uniform.
uh, because I know like Mubarak has this charisma and then the way he carries himself different from other colleagues, and it's so easy to notice him, especially with his multi. I don't know what
I,
motivated. Wait, where do you even have, or where did you get those boldness then? Because usually you are afraid of teachers and all that, but for you, I don't think it was a big deal.
so I think when I had moved to Oshobo,
Mm,
I just felt like I'm an Ibadan boy. What's happening here? Um, and the first few days, I didn't have my school uniform, the white then. I didn't have it yet.
exactly.
So the first few days, I'd wore my Alliance School of Science Ibadan school uniform then. Then eventually, I started wearing my mufti. I started wearing house clothes to school. Nobody had a problem with that. And I knew that then people were really scared of the VPs, Miss Dunsin and whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't really care much. I
exactly.
didn't
I
really
still
care
don't
much.
understand how.
I didn't really care much. So I pretty much was wearing that. Then they eventually gave me my school uniform, but it was very small. So the trouser was small. I couldn't even like button
But
the shorts.
it's something you could have managed if you wanted to.
So exactly, I could have managed it, but because it was small and they had given me only one, so I was expecting the second one, and I was hoping, okay, maybe when they give me the second one, that would be bigger, and I would just go for that one. So every day I'll come to school with the small one in the bag. Then I wear my mufti. So I don't know. One day the people just saw me. He just brought out cane. She practically used cane to force me to wear the school uniform that day. So yeah, that's how I started wearing white back.
Yeah, because
Once I got into white.
because I just noticed, it was so easy to see you from the whole white people, and of course you'll be like, oh, who is this guy, and with the charisma thing, the way you carried yourself, all these ladies, right? I think you knew them called Jusola before then, so you were.
Oyo State had a strike
Oh,
when I was in GS3. So my dad felt it was not cool for me to stay at home. So I moved to Oshobo. One of my aunts teaches at Laro Grammar School.
oh,
So they got me into Laro Grammar School in Oshobo. So I pretty much spent about 3 months there.
oh,
So I was in the same class with them, with Taiwo, Kojisola.
oh,
And obviously Kende came around a lot. So we all became friends. I pretty much was very popular in that school too. So I
yeah.
made so many friends. So when I went back to Ibadan, I kept in touch with a couple of them. I still
Oh,
talk to a couple of them till today. So I kept in touch with a couple of them. Then when I was moving back to Oshobo, obviously I decided I knew which school I was going to was from School of Science Ibadan to
of
School of
course,
Science
to school
Oshobo for me
science,
for
yeah.
sure. So when it was just fortunate or unfortunate that okay I was going to be in the same class with Taiwo. It could have been Kende, but I knew both of them. I was friends with both of them for like maybe 2 years before them.
But how do you manage all this friendship? Because just like you mentioned now, you still talk to some of these friends still today, and you are just this jovial person and easy to move with, to roll with. So because sometimes I see your status, I see all, especially girls, we are still coming back I see a lot of them just flocking around you. So how do you manage situations like that, friendships generally, without it seeming like you have a lot of people to talk to at no time?
So obviously I've struggled with this. I attended maybe 4 different secondary schools. that means and in every secondary school I attended, I was popular basically. So I've known so many people all my life. When I went to school, Footsmina, I was voted as one of the most popular students in Footsmina. So I always know people. But what it would surprise you to know that I'm not constantly on the phone with people. So what I do, I because I don't enjoy phone calls too much really. So what I try to do is make sure that my friends know that I'm available to help. So I'm constantly waving a white flag up there and saying, if you need anything, it doesn't matter that we've not spoken in 2 months or 3 months or whatever. If you need me to do something with you or you need me to help out or whatever, just come through. We'll do it. The timing does not matter. It makes it easy for them to always, for us to always get back together, even after years or months of not speaking together. I think there's also the part where I try to carry everybody along. Most people are on my social medias or stuff like that. So you still see my tweet every now and then. Every now and then you still engage my tweet or you engage my pictures or something. So that's still, I post a status, you engage my status on WhatsApp. So that still allows us to believe that, we still have that friendship or that acquaintance going. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
But do you have some people in your core?
This is strange, yo. I don't belong to any actual inner circle. I belong to a couple of inner circles. So, for example, there are some friendships, let's say some group of 5 boys and 3 girls or whatever, that I'm friends with them on this side. Then there are some group of 3 boys or 2 guys and whatever that I'm friends with on this side, and so on and so forth. I don't really have my own core squad, so to say. I'm just friends with so many people that are not even friends with each other. They're in different silos. So aside from maybe my girlfriend, if I'm dating somebody, that's like my friend now, like my major friend. The other people are now like different silos of friends.
Are you trying to put out a disclaimer by saying if you're dating someone?
No. There's no disclaimer to put out there. There's no disclaimer to put out there.
So of course that makes sense. And okay, before we leave the School of Science issue, because I noticed something about you is you're very intelligent, and of course I'm not so surprised. You try to be. You are too proud. I'm not so surprised as to what you're doing and what you're achieving right now, because I can remember this particular scenario. I would never forget. There was this particular dispute, argument among some of us and you, and of course you were different at that point, and it was more of on what's it called, something related to geography, like the higher the altitude, the cooler it becomes. I will never forget. I'll never forget that one.
I remember very well. So and it's the first time I'm remembering this, by the way. I remember we had that argument and we were saying, I said if you keep going higher, it will keep getting colder. And everybody insisted that does not make any sense.
Exactly. Because
I remember, yes.
It should get hotter. So I think we had to go to set to that. So it looked like, this guy knows a lot and all that. So where would you say this intelligence comes from? Is it more of maybe research or something like that, or hereditary or something like that?
I think so the truth is that at some point I was very timid. So it goes back to the core of when I was growing up in Ilorin, for example, I didn't speak good English. Of course, we speak Yoruba too. I grew up in a very indigenous environment, also we speak Yoruba. So when I was maybe a bit brilliant. I was not like one of the best in the class. I was doing well in maths and some other things. I was doing terrible in English. When I then moved to Ibadan, we moved to a very Ajabo school. And it was a bit difficult to make friends in class because I couldn't speak English like them. My English, I was always dropping all the time. So it was a bit difficult. So I was a bit timid on that end. And I think at one point I felt like the easiest way, I didn't want to be that guy that could not join the conversation. I want to be sure that, if you're discussing something, I know something about what you're discussing. So I think I just paid a lot of attention to reading random stuff, not even my school book anymore. Like reading, so I want to know about sports, I want to know about religion. Even though I'm not a Christian, I want to know about Christianity. So that when you're saying something about Paul or Barnabas, I'll be able to say why. I know X, Y, Z too. So I think I just read random stuff. It became an habit, so to say. So even now, I have my book to read, I have exams. I'm reading something random on the internet. So I just read random stuff, and I think that really just helped.
But
Obviously, on some end also, I learned the idea of being confident with what I know. I'm not too proud to say, okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So because I don't have a problem with being wrong, it then makes it easy for me to say I know this thing. Yeah, exactly. So if you eventually prove it that I'm wrong, okay, fine, I'm wrong. I've learned that one.
Let's move on. And of course, that way you continue to learn. But naturally, how do you spend your 24 hours? And of course, I think we can be real, because sometimes I sleep a lot, and sometimes I'm very serious with life. So, but naturally, because you're just saying that, okay, you have even books to read and you're still reading random things. Do you spend more time surfing the internet, or okay, I'm very serious?
I'm constantly on the internet, so I'm on Twitter fighting somebody.
I think I saw something.
So this is the truth. Like, obviously, my life has taken some turn. My life in Lagos was very regimented. I had a routine. Wake up, gym, walk, traffic, get home in the evening. Then COVID came, and it became wake up very early to pray, then sleep back, then try and wake up for my stand-up meeting by 9, then do some work till 11, 12, then see if you can get something to eat and relax a bit, then attend one more meeting or so before the day ends. So, but now, school, I have class maybe twice a week or something like that. I have some random hustles I always do. Also on the side. I have some hustles on the side that I do. And, we just try and match all that together. There's reading time also. I don't read too much these days, I'll not lie. But again, I'm studying IT. It's something I know a substantial much about. So maybe I don't have to read as much as most other people. But definitely, I think the idea for me is, with learning, is knowing that I know something, but what I know is certainly not enough. People know a lot more, right? And I'm pushing my idea. I'm trying to push every logical argument or logical idea out there. I'm saying, if you have a superior argument, if you have a superior idea, state your own, don't worry. If it's right, I will take it.
But most times you do not accept. Maybe then, maybe you've changed a bit, because you always stand on your argument.
So I've not changed as regards my argument, because the truth in life is that with arguments, there are two ways to have arguments. There's politically correct arguments. So for example, I call someone homeless. You call the person unhoused because you feel like homeless is a bit insultive. But the truth is that the English word homeless is true of that person. The person does not have a house. So there is the sentimental nuances to say that, this thing is not right for you to just say it out. But I'm saying logic suggests that this thing is right. Even though it does not sit well with your sentiment, doesn't make you happy for someone to say that men are typically the providers than women. I know it does not make you happy, especially if you are a providing woman. If you're a woman you're the one providing in your family, you're the breadwinner of your family, and I'm here saying men are typically the breadwinners. It does not make you happy, but it does not take away the fact that men are typically the breadwinners also. So do I have to massage your ego because you are the breadwinner in this case? I probably will not. So,
but obviously, we always have minority being in some situations like that.
Exactly. Nothing is exact for everybody.
Exactly.
Nothing is exact for everybody.
It's wrong. So yeah, that makes sense, because I've always known you, like, you stand on that. So, at what point would you now accept that? Okay, let me just let it go. You are right, Mubarak.
So this is the mistake I've been making all my life. But fortunately, more recently, I've been learning. So the substantial part of my life, because I'm the type to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm constantly looking for other people that I have arguments with to also say they are wrong when I provide better arguments. Somebody into submitting and saying they were wrong, you just be creating an enemy. Because nobody wants to because for many people they think admitting that they are wrong makes them look stupid, which I don't agree with. So they think in fact a lot of times when I have argument on people on Twitter, once I provide one evidence that totally obliterates them or something, they just not reply the tweet. I'm just like, you can just say I'm wrong because that's what I would do. Just like yesterday, there was this tackle, Rashford and somebody in Manchester United game. Apparently, when I saw the video, I thought it was Rashford's hand that he had used to hit the guy on the face. Apparently, it was actually his leg. He had almost broken the guy's leg. So when I was arguing with one guy, I was saying, but that hand, now he didn't know and everything. Eventually, I watched another video and I saw that it was actually his leg. I had to go tweet the guy back that, oh, Toby, I'm sorry, I got the video wrong. Yeah, he deserved the red card. So, but most people would rather not do that because they think, oh, now they will look stupid for so which I don't agree with.
I think, of course, most times if you're wrong, just admit it and learn from it. So
it's actually not good to argue. There are many books against arguing. It's not how to win friends.
But sometimes it's interesting to, But the only thing, just like you mentioned, is sometimes you know that you're wrong, but you do not want to come out or come off as the weaker person or the stupid person, and then you just want to stand up. But sometimes when you continue on that side of the divide, you still look more stupid anyways.
Well, you just won't admit it. And I think another group of people are people that are arguing based on trauma. So if someone has gone through something bad, for example, someone has gone through divorce, and you want to tell them that there are many good men out there, they want to argue with you based on the bad man they had. So even nothing you say would really matter in this argument. Exactly. So again, at times we fall into the mistake of having conversations with these people and we want to establish that maybe you had a good father, you have good brothers. It won't work. The person's arguing based on their previous trauma they probably might not have healed from. So
and of course it's their own experience and they would stand by it.
And it's not invalid. It's actually valid because it's their experience. It's just not, they shouldn't have generalized with it, but it is still valid nonetheless.
Makes sense. So let's switch to the career thing. I know you studied estate management, if I'm right.
Yes, I did.
And then how was it easy just to leave all that 4 years and then go into something related to data and all that? Because I know you worked with Access Bank at some point, or it was just the situation with Nigeria. Just like I was talking to I was talking to a friend a few days ago, and I was like, oh, she's white, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to study chemistry. Industrial chemistry, that wasn't my plan. I wanted pharmacy, but Nigeria happened to me, and I found myself. But I never regretted it, anyways, because at least what I am now, at least that also helped. So, was it your career switch in a way? Was it something you had in mind, or Nigeria happened?
So Nigeria didn't really happen in my case. First, I think I was in science class by mistake, but it was not a mistake. So I remember. Like maybe when I was in GS1 or 2, we always had these teachers that would say, you're smart, you should be in science class. So I probably had so many people push that in my head that I should be in science class. Maybe if not, maybe I'd be a lawyer or something. So I probably had like so many people push that into my head that, you should be in science class.
You're good with arguments, so
so
would have been the best.
I had a lot of that. So it was just normal. My father also wanted it. But it was a lot of influential people in my life, saying that, this is what you should do. You seem like you'd be a good fit. And, I think when I was in junior secondary school, I was winning prizes for integrated science, intro tech and stuff. So it just seemed like it made sense. So I just slotted into School of Science that way.
So
but when I got to School of Science, I realized that I didn't enjoy physics and chemistry at all. But there was a problem. I was passing the exams. I didn't enjoy it, but I was passing the exams. And that was a problem again. So for most people, maybe my parents, my father or whatever, it doesn't look like, you passed this thing, so what are you saying? But me, I knew that I didn't really understand it. The way I like to the way you can just say, Mubarak, come and explain this thing biology for us now. I mean geography for us. I'll just talk about it,
I
break
know you
it down.
like geography.
Yeah, I like geography. I really like geography. So the way I would just break it down, or history, I would just break it down. I could not break physics and chemistry down like that. I could write the exam, I could pass the exam, but I couldn't break it down. So I didn't feel very confident enough about it. So when I was starting to go to university, I started looking for a way out of pure science. And if you remember then, when we were moving to SS3, most people that wants to do further maths would go to A class.
Yeah.
And when I did not go to A class, a lot of people were surprised that why didn't this guy go to A class? In fact, I remember people used to come to me in class. You didn't too, we both went to the same class. And a lot of people came to me in class, then they were saying, class, do you want to go to the Olodo class?
Exactly. It was more food and nutrition.
People that want to do food and nutrition and economics. Like,
some
do
of
you want
us
to go
were
to the Olodo people's class?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not going to A class and to do further maths and TD and all this stuff? And I was saying, well, that's what I want to do. I mean, I'm probably better on further math and TD than most of you people in this class anyway, but that's not what I want to do at this time, because I was already looking for a house away from core science, really. So I did estate management for 5 years, which is a sort of a social science. But in my final year, when I was doing my projects, I had this lecturer. He just said, "Oh, I like this your thesis. I like this your project." He said, "But I want us to publish this." So I will introduce you to he introduced me to somebody else.
Okay.
That one is a researcher in school to work with the person. So eventually, I really enjoyed that, bros. I'll just go to his office every day. Once I'm done with my class, I go to his office. Now, he was a researcher in school. Many lecturers will come to him for help on their own research. So he started putting me through on how to use SPSS, how to use Excel, so how to understand. And at that point, we're also doing research methodology. So we're looking at statistical approaches to research and whatnot. So he was putting me through on the practical aspect of things I was learning in class and the tools I needed to do those things. Eventually, I became so good that when people come to him for help, maybe to do one regression or whatever, we just say, I don't have time, talk to Mubarak. So I was now working with master's thesis, doing data analysis from people that were doing masters, doing their thesis. Even some PhD I was reviewing their research methodology and whatnot. So I enjoyed that, but I didn't think there was a career there. But eventually in my life, when I had the opportunity to move into IT and decide what part of IT I wanted to do, as someone that had a background in research and was already doing Excel and all those things, analytics just seemed like the way.
And then you got an opportunity with Access Bank. Were you doing something like that with Access, or?
Yes. So with Access Bank has a training school, a 5-month-and-a-half training school, where you join to be a banker, and I joined to be a banker, but I also knew I didn't want to be a banker. But I needed money also.
Of course.
I was in Lagos without family. I was living with a friend, so I needed a good job, and Access Bank was going to be a good job. Oh, they will give you a car, your salary will be good, So, but when we finished training school, they selected a couple of us, and they asked if we were interested in moving to. They were going to start a data analytics team. And they asked if we were interested in doing data analytics. Immediately I heard that one, I jumped on it because I didn't want to be a banker. And data analytics now seems similar to the things I've done in my final year. So and my final year, like when I was doing all those theses, at one point I was in machinery. I was writing projects for people in different schools. And it was funny. It was funny because schools that have estate management are not very much in Nigeria. If Unilag, Footsmina, Futo, there may be like originally universities, maybe 10 or so. So I had connections everywhere. Someone would just call me in Ife. Bros, they didn't even know I was like fresh out of university. They thought I was one big old person. I said, bros, please, we need your help for this project. You don't understand the guy. I said, what's the topic? Send me the topic.
Wow.
I became so good then with all this project that if you send me a topic, 1 hour call with you, I've broken down your topic. I've already broken it down. This is what your objective should be like. This is the methodology we should apply. So it became a lifestyle, and I started making money from it too.
But are you still in line with that for now?
No, not research. Not research. My statistics is not what it used to be. So I mean, I'm still very decent because I still work with stats.
But
every
how
day.
is it? How is it easy to just be navigating all these ways? Moving from estate management to more of data and data analytics, and now maybe no longer around research and all that. Like, do you find joy just exploring, or there is a particular thing you're looking for and you're yet to get into that line? Because sometimes you find people being stuck in a particular program or a particular career, and they're just afraid of what would happen if I leave. So they are
They try
just
something
saying
new.
exactly if I try something, because sometimes it's difficult. At least this one, it might not be what I want, or even it might not be paying so much. But I know the possibility of where I'm going to. It might be higher, but despite the fact that it might be higher, I might not even get there. So you're just like, okay, let me just stay here, and then you're stuck there. So what's it for you? Is it just that you're exploring, or there is a particular thing you're looking for and you're yet to get there and you're still searching?
For me, I think human beings must be able to reinvent themselves. I also think we must be able to identify that, okay, do I enjoy what I'm doing now? Is it paying me the way I want it to pay me? Can I do something new? But more importantly, I think I had the privilege of, I don't have much burdens yet. Or I've not taken up much burdens yet.
We
For
have to talk
example, I'm
about
not
that.
married yet. I don't have kids yet. If there's any time to take risk, this is it. And I'll give you, like, when I first moved to Lagos, I'd served in an estate firm. And fortunately, I got my first job before service even ended. In fact, I got a couple of jobs before service ended in estate firms. I had to resume one of those estate firms a week before my POP because they said, we can no longer wait for you. We need you to come in now. And I started working there. I worked there for like 3 months or 4. And it was a nice place. Then I got Access Bank's offer, which was like maybe times 3 of my salary or something, or times 2 of my salary. And I was going to get a car too. And it's like you're in your dream estate firm. And now you have another job offer that's like times 2 of your salary and a car. It was a dream job against better
Something
paying job.
exactly.
It was, people might not know it's difficult, but it was actually difficult for me to make a choice. But eventually, I think I had a conversation with somebody, and the person just said, "Guy, you are not married now. Like, if there's any time you are allowed to make a mistake in this life, or anytime, there's no better time to try something new." And well, I just tried it. But beyond that, beyond even married or not, I think we must be able to, if you do something that doesn't give you joy, you won't last on it, or you won't progress on it, so to say. So I think we must find joy in whatever we're doing. But if we don't have joy in whatever we're doing, it better pay you good money. Now, if it's not paying you great money and you're still not finding joy in it, you need to move. But what most people don't do is to plan their movements. So when I say plan your movements, is don't just resign and start looking for a new job in the new field. No. That will hurt you and to hurt your family. So plan yourself. Maybe, okay, it's going to take me a year to transition into this new position. Okay, do I want to take a training for 3 months and start active learning after that 3 months? So I go to work in the morning, I take my training in the evening on Udemy or Coursera or whatever, and start doing different projects, start meeting with people in that field. Maybe they can point me through. And in a year time, I would have the necessary skill to get a new job. So before I resign, I'm already applying to other jobs with the hope of getting a new job before I leave this one, because you still need to sustain your family.
Definitely.
You still need to make money. So most people don't plan the transition, or they don't understand the planning behind transitioning. And that's why transitioning now seems almost undoable, because they just want to resign from their engineering job or whatever job they are doing to take on with the hope of applying. Then you apply, you don't even have proper training. So you won't even get a job in the new field, but you find yourself now you're jobless, you're stuck in your house, you're not getting a new job, you're not able to go back to your old job.
And that can be painful,
Definitely.
So you should do it with wisdom. So for you,
Yes.
would it be, so if I'm giving you, okay, this is extreme anyways, but if I'm giving you $1 million job, and as against maybe your dream job that you've been looking for, which is just like $500,000. So the reason for using these two is that at least both are very
If I'll
good.
follow money or my dream,
Exactly. And of course, with 500,000, you will still
you'll
do
still live
well.
well,
Exactly.
right?
So I'm saying, like, you have an opportunity to earn something that is good, but this is your dream that gives you joy, and this pays a lot better. And maybe it's not necessarily your dream. Which one would you, just personal choice?
I'll go for my dream job if it's going to sustain my life. if my dream job can't sustain my life, I always tell people like my dream job is actually to just like be one NGO helping life and stuff. Like that's my dream job really. But more often than not, I cannot afford to do that right now. Some of those jobs cannot sustain my lifestyle also for now. So that's why I don't do it. But if I were to find my dream job in that corner that's able to sustain my lifestyle, I'll take that over a better paying job at anyway.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So, I think this is also important to me, and of course, I don't know if I should start with, and this is a bit personal. So, I don't know if I should start with this question, like, when are you getting married? When should we expect you to get married? Because of course, you're not getting younger, and of course, I understand the part of taking risk and all that, but
Yeah.
or don't you think there is also a need to build a family and
I'm very big on family, and obviously I've mentioned family and kids a lot of time already in this conversation, so I'm very big on it. But also on the other side, I'm big on planning also. But like you, I'm a religious person, and time and tide is with God. But humans must plan.
but are you doing anything to support that?
Oh, definitely. No. God will not come down from heaven
Definitely.
to get certain things done for you. So yes, definitely on my end, yes. But there are a lot of other nuances that must align.
That makes sense. And okay, there is another part to that question, which how were you? You know, you had a car in Lagos. You're cruising as a young boy, and of course, you have this swag. You have that sweet mouth to always sweep ladies off their feet, if I can use that word. How did you manage all these girls? Because I definitely know. No, even it's not like I definitely know. I see on your status you have different ones.
Ew.
But especially with Access Bank, I don't know maybe other places, but during the time that you were in Access Banks, a day would not go that you not post more than one girl on your status, if I'm right.
Because
So,
I think so number one is that, to be sincere with you, I've grown out of a lot of those things. Like, okay, so when you think about the Mubarak uni in secondary school, I was everywhere. I was everywhere with everything. I used to remember people used to say, this guy is supposed to be dumb. Like, because you are the guy that wants to talk about football. You are the one that wants to talk about music. I still want to go to MSS. I still want to do book, do tutorial in class, do book again. Like, I literally was doing everything. I still want to follow women. You know, I was literally doing everything. But like a lot of things don't interest me so much anymore. So like most of the time. So there's that part to it. I think the other part to it is that when I was maybe in the bank, you know, because we had gone through training school of 5-6 months and we're all in the same building.
oh,
Pretty much because yes, we're in the same building, like from morning to evening every day. We're in the
but
same building.
you had your own. You got accommodation, or they accommodated
No,
everyone?
we know they didn't accommodate us. We had different. Everybody had their own accommodations.
Okay.
But you know, you go to class
Yeah,
from
yeah.
8, and class was 8 to 6 or so. Then most of us will still stay back till like 9. So typically, you are in the same environment with people of your age group. Everybody was between 23, 24. No, let's say 22, 23, 24, 25. So everybody was age group basically. So you're in the same building with your age group, seeing them every day. You make a lot of friends. You become very close. In fact, your whole lifestyle for that 6 months or so, the only people you see, because I leave the house in the morning, very early in the morning, I get back home very late in the night. So the only people you see are those people. So eventually, and it's easy for folks like you to say, "Oh, I saw a girl on his status. You also saw a boy too." You just paid less attention to the boy, you know. So,
But it's normal now.
so for example, like every time someone says, "Oh, Mubarak has a lot of female friends," I have a lot of male
Male
friends.
friends.
It's just easy for people to pay more attention to the female friends than the male friends.
But of course, there would also be situations whereby you had crushes. I mean, people crushing on you. How do you manage those ones, or you just see how it goes?
No, I don't like to lead people on. I'm very blunt. I'm very blunt, and because I cannot manage the emotional side of what the emotional repercussion or consequence of leading people on. Because it might not blow in your face right now, but it will eventually blow in your face, really. But also I try to be sensitive to people's feelings also. So if someone has a crush on me, I typically will not just say, oh, see, it's not doable, forget it. I just be giving you space, small space, small space. Then eventually I'll just let you know, oh, maybe I have a girlfriend. At times I just lie. At times I'm single self, at times I just lie. I have a girlfriend in Canada. I know I've used that line before, but eventually I found out that so with some girls that line does not work.
They are already
You start giving them space in small. Then eventually, one thing about God, time heals everything. As long as it's a crush, trust me, time will heal it too. Either they get annoyed by you or someone new toasts them. So eventually they will move on.
So there has not been any aggressive crush, if I can put it that way. That this
Oh,
person.
no. In fact, since the time I had that one, it changed my perspective on even how I want to ask women out. Like now, I'm not aggressive about asking women out again. Oh. If I ask you out and you don't want, I'm not doing. I'm in front of your office. I'm not doing all that anymore because I learned the hard way when a woman was doing the same thing that most men do to women. To me, I was not comfortable. I didn't know what to do. At one point, she was saying, "I'm in front of your office." In front of which office? I just got this job. Yeah, in front of whose office? What of who's office? So it's a bit tricky like that.
Wow. And then finally, before I let you go, because I know at least you have maybe a few things to do too. And of course, you're still exploring and then you're still growing over time, of course, because we still have a long way to go. Because someone might be like, how old is it that he's giving us this particular tip? But of course, you've achieved some things over time. And what do you think you would have done differently if you're very young, or let's say you're in your 19s or 20, like early 20s, let's say 2021, that you think would have helped at this point? So I'm just thinking maybe even someone that is old can also get some things, or people that are a bit younger. I'm just saying someone that is still trying to figure out few things, and maybe part of the things you figured out yet. Like, what do you just think? Okay, I've not done the best way, and I could have done better.
I don't know, to be honest with you, in the sense that for most people, I've made the best decisions based on the informations I had at that point. Because again, life is about information. As like we say, info not info. Life is about information. You don't have the information, you don't have the information. There are a lot of things, and I'll give you an example. So you, for example, when we were in secondary school, your dad was like the Alakowe dad in Oshogbo, in Ataoja that
Do you
time.
know that he eventually became the principal of Ataoja?
Wow,
He came back from
I
the
didn't-
ministry to.
Wow, I didn't know that, but I knew it was like the Alakowe father of Ataoja then. And the way you had your life, perhaps more structured than most people in the school. And I remember one thing. Your middle name is Akin.
Yeah, sure.
So how do I remember? You rarely use Akin, but I think it's Akin something. I don't know the full.
Yeah, most times I just use Akin.
Akin. I will tell you why you use Akin now. The reason why you use Akin is because you told us before writing WAEC that you and your dad sat down and you decided that it was just Akin you would write because you needed 21 characters or 23 characters.
You still remember?
Yes, I remember. And Oluwatobi, Akin, Oyebanji is what will fit into that character. If you add the other part of the Akin, it will not fit into that character anymore. Now, for most of us, for someone to have this kind of conversation with your dad on how they want to set up even just their name, a lot of us, their parents didn't even know which one was our first name or second name. or middle name, you know. So for someone to have this kind of in-depth conversation, they've also had other in-depth conversations about what their career would be like, what they would do. So there was a lot more information coming from a learned angle or learned point of view. That, okay, Toby, if you do this, then you can take this step next. If you do this, you can take this step next. But not everybody has that. So a lot more persons would have to work with the information, the best information they have at this point. So when I was in GS3, the best information I had was, oh, you are the best student in integrated science and intro tech, so science class is the best place for you. But I was also the best student in business studies. So why is commercial class not a good option for me? You understand? But I was working with the best information I had at that point. When I was going to study estate management, my dad worked in a property company. Most of his friends were estate surveyors. In fact, all the rich people I knew were estate surveyors. So it made perfect sense. And I remember my dad was saying, I study computer engineering now. I said, no. I said, it's estate management I want to do. It's estate management I want to do. Before he eventually gave in. You know, so we are working, most of us are working with the best information we have at that point. So we don't need to beat ourselves over the fact that, oh, I took a few wrong steps at this point. Every wrong step we took also, we learned from it. Either you learned, oh, this is the right thing to do, this is how we should take steps, or we learned, this is what we shouldn't do. The only problem is if you're the type to not learn from your past experiences, mistakes, or accomplishments. We need to learn. Maybe it's a mistake or an accomplishment, we need to learn from it. We need to then use that information to do better in the future. So at times I think, oh, what if I had done computer science then, or computer engineering or whatever, then I probably would not have gained the research experience I gained, which led me into data analytics, even though data analytics seemed closer to computer science. But the research, understanding, the statistical knowledge and all these things that I eventually got, I probably won't get all those. You understand?
So those experiences lead to...
So those experiences eventually shape us. There's no reason to say, oh, I should have started this. If it's gone, it's gone. What you need to do now is focus on the now.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
strategize.
It's not necessary for
But there are
you,
many things we hope. I mean, for some people, yes, maybe they have a few things they could have changed. For me, I don't know. I was pretty much working with the best information I had at every time. I've been privileged. I've not taken too many wrong steps. So it's just been working with the best information I had at that time. And then using that. For example, if you set out to do, I know you had set out to do pharmacy, for example. And you are one of the guys that was always clear about Ife Nimalo. I'm going to Ife. And I remember this conversation. I used to, when I was in Atauja, when we were in Atauja School of Science, I remember when we were about to do WAEC and JAM, and I was taking tutorials for some people. And I was asking people, like, well, what school did you pick? What course did you pick? And so many people were saying they had picked medicine, Ife, medicine, UI. And people did not like my statement that I made a statement that, and I said, you barely promoted to SS3 and you are picking medicine, Ife. You are in a public school.
You know, one of the reasons I didn't pick medicine was because everyone was picking medicine, and I felt like if everyone is going towards this direction, then I don't.
Let me do something different. Yeah. Because I was thinking in my head, you are in a public school, where I thought it was a good school in Oshobo for sure, but it wasn't necessarily a world-class school.
No.
So
Osco
you are
is
in
there
a school you're in a school that is not a world-class school, like it's not so special. You are promoted based on some luck, and now you want to go do the most difficult course or the most competitive course in the most competitive university. What's your plan? That's not a good plan. You're not ready. You're not equipped enough to do it. Why not go for something that will work so that you don't have to start them? And eventually, for everybody I had that conversation with, they learned it the hard way. Eventually, they had to go to Lautech, and even the Lautech, they have to then. They first stayed at home for 1 year because they were open on Ife and that didn't work. Then they eventually had to do pre-degree at Lautech for 1 extra year. Then the lucky ones among them then got admitted maybe 3 years later into school. Some other persons was in part 3 in University of Ilorin at that point. I mean, different people will have different stories, but it's also important for us to be candid with ourselves. For example, like I said in the beginning, I was doing well in physics and chemistry. I was still one of the best students in physics and chemistry in school. But I knew it deep inside me that I don't know this thing as much as I would want to know it. And I kept thinking, if I do engineering, I don't think I'm at that standard. Some people might say, oh, I'm rating myself low, maybe. But I could tell the things that I was really good at. I knew that if I do this, I will certainly excel. Or I mean, everything's with God, sure. But as far as the humanly possible, I will probably excel. So I think we need to be candid with each other, know our strengths, know our weakness. Also know in our weaknesses, know the weaknesses that we have opportunities to improve on, and the ones we cannot improve on. For example, I'm 5'7". I will never be 5'9".
People are doing it now.
Okay, well, okay, there's a way, sha. There are weaknesses that we cannot solve, and there are weaknesses that there are opportunities for growth there. And then there's time. Do you have enough time for even the opportunity for growth? So you must factor all these things in and make a decision. But don't rely on your sentiment of it'd be nice for me to have a stethoscope around my neck. But you are dumb. Like I don't know how to put it.
And of course, there are a lot of people that are doing well in other fields that never studied medicine.
Exactly, because there's so much to life. And I mean, I have a friend. We went to Ally_Science together. And I don't think he went to university, and he's a interior designer today. And he's living very, very well. I think he might be richer than all of us that went to school.
There are a lot of people like that these days. So I've been exploring. Exposed, I've been exploring people here, and you see a lot of millionaires around here and all that. You know that they never finished university. Artisans. I'm not even talking about what's it called. I'm not talking about them. Bill Gates and co that people do talk about.
Definitely.
I'm not even talking about
no.
Like the
even
new
regular
generation
artisans. Even regular
That's
artisans.
what I'm saying. Like they just knew what they were going out for, and then they went for it, and they are still doing well in that line. So.
Exactly. Just know what works for you, what you're good at. And I think focus a lot on that. Learn all the skills required to succeed at it. Because a lot of times people don't want to learn. Learn that and we'll be good.
Because for someone like me, I studied chemistry, industrial chemistry, and I never regretted it, at least at this point. So if I had studied pharmacy, pharmacy, maybe I would not even have some things that I do have right now. And of course, we are still exploring and hoping to get better.
Definitely.
Anyway,
definitely.
And so it's really been an interesting conversation with you. And I think if there is still opportunity, we have some more, because there are other topics that I always look out for, and of course to have it with someone that has great minds, just like you now. So,
thank you, definitely.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you for being a part of it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you, yourself. It's nice speaking with you again. It's a real journey through memory lane.
Exactly, because it's been a long time having this kind of conversation. Yeah. So definitely. Thank you, and thank you. And of course, if you've listened so far, thank you for listening, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Bye.